Hey James,
Hi, Roger. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Just came out of a nice long weekend, and
Yeah.
yeah, getting ready to hit it hard.
How was your time away? You went to El Paso or
I
something, right?
did. I went to El Paso to see a friend of mine. We played a round of golf at a desert golf course and lost a lot of balls. And it was hot. It was 90 plus, total sunshine, but dehydrating.
Oh wow. Hey, I'm trying to see if I can record and transcribe, and it won't allow me. I don't know if our system turns it off or not.
I was
Um,
trying to find that myself. So what I'm doing right now is my camera was off, correct? They
yes.
won't allow us to turn cameras on. So what I'm doing is I'm actually videoing it from my phone.
Okay. Sounds good.
Appreciate you taking time again to meet with me. I was trying to get ahead of this part of the course for week two,
Okay.
and I did not see the instructions for recording until after the fact.
Okay.
So bad on me.
No, no worries. You had taken some notes the last time. Do you want to go from them and we
Yeah,
can
you betcha.
recreate? And okay.
So you're Roger Smith. You are a program manager.
Uh, Actually, it's a executive project director.
Okay.
The way our company is set up, we have basically three roles for project manager uh, or project management. We have project managers, we have project directors, and we have executive project directors.
Okay.
And from an organizational point of view, the executive project director, one has to have the experience and the education to achieve that level, and they are on par with our vice presidents. So they wanted to have the meat of organizational strength with that title.
Oh, that's great. And we were
Yeah.
talking a little bit about we went into your background with construction oriented. You graduated college in 1983 from IUP in accounting,
Actually, it was marketing,
marketing.
business. It was a
Okay,
business degree. Yeah,
okay. Um, you've
but
worked
a
for
lot of accounting.
a lot of accounting. Okay, got it, got it. So right now you're with the SMS group. You've worked for a company called Siemens, like
Yep.
big corporation. It's worldwide known.
Yes.
Um,
And
and
also worked for ThyssenKrupp.
okay,
T Thysennkrupp.
PP.
Another big German outfit. I was in the UDA UHDE side of the company, named after Friedrich Uda, who created a patent for making ammonia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, big in the fertilizer, nitrogens and fertilizer business. And let's see, Siemens was in Erlanger, Germany, and Uda is in Dortmund, and SMS headquartered now in Mönchengladbach.
But you work here.
Which,
You work here in Pittsburgh.
yes,
Yes.
my tax home is Pittsburgh,
Okay.
uh, but my projects and my day-to-day activities is in Germany.
How big is the team you work with?
A typical team, we get the executive project directors get the bigger projects. That's SMS employees. Will range anywhere from 200 to 500 employees would participate on the project,
Oh, wow.
and they go in and out of the project. The engineers, procurement. I'll say the engineering is front. Then you have procurement. They're the say middle of the project when we deliver the equipment, and then at the end of the project we have our technical advisory services to make sure that the equipment gets installed and started up correctly.
Okay.
And through the procurement process, there's a number of folks that participate in the supply chain. Engineering, an engineering customer is both internal and external.
Okay.
The customer requires our drawings to get a typical scope split would be the customer would do the construction, be responsible for the construction engineering, which is the shell where our equipment resides underneath. And if you think kind of in your world, the hangar is the shell for the plane.
Okay.
So you really don't care. We deliver the plane and the customer provides the hangar. And inside the hangar, you would have electricity for the lights. You would have all types of other stuff. So that's kind of a delineation in I'll say the 9/11. Did I just lose you?
No, I think I'm here.
Oh, my screen is now going into a... Interesting. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Something's going on with my screen.
I like your background, by the way.
Well, and that's part of our branding.
Okay.
We, with the COVID, you started to have a lot of people work remotely, and rather than see somebody's garage or stuff, they finally came out and said, okay, we're going to create a number of backgrounds. We want the people to use the backgrounds that we put out there.
That's neat. I'll have to learn that one from you.
Yeah, it all ties together in different working conditions. In fact, we built a brand new headquarters. We were headquartered in Dusseldorf and relocated to Mönchengladbach. And like any business, real estate is a part of your business. SMS is about 14,000 employees worldwide, and it's a privately owned business, but real estate's key to it. You have to have offices, and with offices, that's the real estate. And our owner made a fortune. His original office was on Königsallee in Dusseldorf. And that's an internal project. And they created another campus. And now we're on our next campus, and that's located in Mönchengladbach, where we also had offices. And those offices became, I'll say, more prolific when there was a merger, a buyout. We bought a company called Management DMAG. And I am sure in your lifetime you've seen Management or DMAG, whether it's overhead cranes or trucks.
Okay.
Really big outfit. They also, at one point in time, even had mobile phones. They were in the mobile phone business.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But they were struggling. The steel industry has been a ton of consolidations over the past, 3 decades. We're seeing it here in Pittsburgh with U.S. Steel being bought out with Nippon. And we do projects with U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel, just a few years ago, bought another big company called Big River Steel,
Okay.
who located. You talk about stakeholder management and how things change. You're on a project, and next thing you know, you got a new owner.
Oh, yeah.
The business goes up for sale. So stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah. It's that change.
Your environment is exactly.
Yeah.
It's constant.
I was just
And that's
reading.
not a bad thing.
I was just reading a couple of chapters in our book yesterday. It's about the RFP process and the proposals, and how when you're contracting something out, the contractors and the customer they try to do business with people they trust and know, but keeping up those relationships and how important that is. Not just from a business perspective, but keeping up a personal relationship and being genuine. I found that very interesting.
Yeah. We do I shouldn't say just we, the companies that I work with, as project management becomes more and more prolific on executing contractual obligations, Um, there is in the sales phase, when you bid something, the way you bid the work, there's a concept that has to be developed, and that's the project execution concept. It gets formalized. So the proposal manager, I'll say the project management in the proposal phase, has to say, hey, what was your basis? If you were going to have a price for manufacturing, were you making it? Were you buying it? If you were buying it, where were you buying it from? Where did you get the pricing? Did you get it from China? Did you get it from Korea? Are you aware of the global situation, the dynamics? Tariffs all of a sudden get imposed upon you.
Yeah.
So you always have these concepts, execution concepts embedded in the proposal phase. So when you do a handover, which is not uncommon, if you want to think about project delivery, and you really think about the whole string, your client starts very early, and it's a business opportunity. And it could be a merger, but let's just say it's a new plant. They're thinking about way, way early on, before anybody gets involved from outside their business. They're saying, hey, I want to make more, I don't know, for me, more steel. And I'll keep the reference down to the plant that we did in Texas. Mm-hmm. So this company says, hey, there's a new technology that's out there. And we were one of the first ones with the technology from 30 years ago. And we understand SMS has a new technology, and a number of the competitors have been pursuing. Let's build a plant using the new technology because our assets are aged. But they're still good, but we got to look long term. And so their project manager is looking what's the business basis for this new plant, and then where do you put it? How do you get water to it, power to it? How do you get the products, what I'll call feedstock, in? How do you get finished products out? So they're developing that way, way in the beginning. Technology providers come in early, and they help shape the project delivery. And so if you think about the phases, you have that sales phase, that development, the shaping phase. Then you have the delivery. That, okay, I'm going to do the engineering, do the manufacturing, I'm going to start it up. Typically, you have the warranty, which is another phase of a project. Last but not least, you turn it over to operations, and it becomes their day-to-day business. And it actually starts to generate again because you have upgrades, you have, hey, there's a new technology, let's do a revamp, a modernization. And you think about planes, okay? Mm-hmm. With planes, hey, I have a new seat configuration. Yep. I have new software that says, hey, I don't have to do manual, I could do autopilot.
Absolutely.
That type of stuff goes through the operations phase in these mini projects versus building a whole new asset. A lot of companies will do handovers. And the handover will happen, you have a sales team, they hand it over to an implementation or an execution team, and then the execution team handles it over to a service group. It says, hey, you take care of the warranty. Something happens, we want the day-to-day operations people to talk to service people because, hey, you could have turnover at your plant, and the people that were originally taught how to run the plant may leave. You have attrition, all that type of stuff. You bring in service, or hey, you have a new technology, teach us about it. But I want you to help me with my maintenance. It's not uncommon to subcontract some maintenance because you can't do everything.
Yeah, right.
And as a business, you make the decisions. So we have, in our company, we have those 3 different handovers. And each one of those, you have an execution concept. Hey, what's the concept for the warranty? What was in your contract? Is it an evergreen? Is it do you have some other arrangement that you want to make? So there's always that handover of communications of what's the basis that your business is using for that business opportunity or that scope of business.
So when you write contracts like that, let's just say you do a sustainment maintenance contract on part of your plant. Do you write a long-term contract? Is it a 1 to 3, 1 to 5 year renewable?
Well, as a service provider, and just so you get a concept, about 25% of our business is service, and we want to get it to 50%.
Okay.
We want a $4 billion annual business, and we want $2 billion of it. So we have some tremendous growth from where we are now to where we want to be. Longer term contracts help because you every time a contract's up, you may or may not get it. And to get a service contract, there's a lot of investment, both tools, personnel. So the longer the better, but the longer the more risk.
Yeah.
So when you write contracts, first and foremost, it depends on the length, depends on the scope and what type of investment you have to have for that scope. For us, let's just say you want to make a roll shop. A roll shop is a consumable inside a mill, and you are constantly needing to supply rolls. You got rolls in the mill, got rolls in front of the mill, and you got rolls being built and being refurbished. That's typically the single largest consumer of the maintenance budget for an operating plant. It also requires a tremendous investment, and you have to have skilled operators. I mean, think about your jet engine. Let's just say you want GE to come in and maintain all your engines because you don't want to spend the money because you don't have enough to keep them busy every day.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than, these are make or buy decisions, and this is no different than in our business. The client is going to sit there and say, okay, make or buy. I was in another, so the duration depends on that investment, and the higher the investment, the longer the term. We try to get something at least 10 years, because our investment requires machines. Either the client buys them or we buy them, and then after a certain period of time, the client can then take it back. And there's clauses in there where you would have a provision where they could buy you out.
Okay.
And then there's, I won't call it a penalty, but it's, hey, I made this big investment. I've trained all my employees to service your business, and now you want to take over that asset that we've built or jointly built, and then you want full ownership of it. So it's no different than or any business where you say, okay, there's a sale, and you want to do an acquisition or a buyout, and you structure those contracts with language that allows the owner to take back that service or give it their. They say, hey, you're doing a terrible job, go backwards. I'm going to go find somebody else because you're not fulfilling the expectations of what I'll call fulfillment, whether it's quality, whether it's having parts on time, the turnarounds, all that stuff that takes place. So the contracts are lengthy, 40, I've seen some 100 pages. You address all the typical contractual topics.
That sounds pretty similar to... I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, and inside of the contracts, you would have all the typical stuff you would have in a normal contract: time, cost, quality, performances, fault or no fault, convenience, for termination, all of that type of stuff gets wrapped up as normal contract language. Change management. Hey, I know I told you I want you to do my engines, but you know what? I want you to change the tires as well. I want you to, you go buy the equipment and do that. So how do you go and add scope?
Okay.
When you add it or delete it. So change management would also be another, I'll say, discipline that gets specified in those contracts. And ideally, you have escalation clauses. Or, let me say price adjustment clauses. Even in deflationary times, things don't go crazy where you're reducing wages by a whole lot. We'll typically pick some of the key inputs, not affecting us so much, like electrical contractors. They might have a copper price adjustment. Transportation does it all the time, where you have adjustments for fuel, or you have adjustments for, if you have a lot of ocean shipping, that there's surcharges that will get passed through. Because what you don't want to do is with most intelligent buyers, they don't want their suppliers to hold the contingency. Why should I pay a company the price to carry the contingency and the risk? It's my asset. I want to carry that. I want to in my own realm, because you can have somebody not have enough. I've gone into places, and Texas was one of those. Where are you going to find the workers? Are there enough? We had 5,000 people at the job site.
Wow.
Are you going to be able to staff it with the proper quantity and quality of millwrights, electricians, pipe fitters? Pipe fitters have to weld special welds. Are you able to get that many people? Are there enough hotels in the area where the old heads in beds? I need 5,000 people. Where do they stay? Go talk to the school. You talk about stakeholders. Not everybody's coming by themselves. They're going to bring families. Talk to the local police. Hey, these are construction guys. So, stakeholder management in the community, when you come in, you got to go talk to the fire department. Hey, this is going to be a great big asset. What's my proximity? Talk to the schools. Talk to the hospital. Yeah, we had to do all that. Talk to the police, because the police have to get 5,000 cars, or a significant number of cars, off the highway. So you change traffic patterns.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
It's stakeholder management is a discipline of the multitude of disciplines in project management. Has to be, you have to be mindful of it, and when you really sit and think about it, does everybody in the community want that plant? You're going to find folks that don't.
Yeah.
How do you manage this?
Yeah, great point.
Yeah. It gets interesting with bigger projects, but bigger projects are just, made up of a whole bunch of small ones.
Yeah, right on. Yeah. It's a true story. Let's see. What do you think is some of the most important aspects of project management? Like, where would you rate, is communication the key? Is,
first off, my background was in cost and scheduling.
Okay.
And I migrated up the ladder of project management, starting in those, I'll say, time management and cost management fields. When I was at Siemens, was director of project. We were in a number of places. I think we had 47 countries, 19 offices, 150 PMs, something like that. I can't swear to the exact figures, but just an order of magnitude. about $4 billion. Was it 4? No, our sales. Yeah, I can't remember how many employees we had, but our CEO and our CFO sat us down and said, "Fellas, you got to tell us when we meet every month, when we go around the world and see what the portfolio looks like and meets with the financial people and the delivery people and the service people for each area. We want to know where the trouble is before we get the phone call from the press or from a client." Because we did both municipal, which is public work, and we also did private work for industry. So we started looking at a portfolio of 1,500 projects, and what we ended up coming through was communication played the biggest role.
Okay.
And I think, in my opinion, the reason why this happens is, where does a project manager come from? Most businesses that I've been associated with are technical based.
Yes. Got a note on
And
that.
And that is the pool that promotion comes from. So your technical base and the folks that learn the business, that learn what products you're making or what services you're making, you're performing, they have a deep technical background. I do not. I wasn't educated in it, but I've learned it along the way. And what I found was, most of the technical people have poor communication skills. A lot of reasons why, and that's just part of resource management. Is, how am I going to build my business? Okay, you know our stuff. You go run this project, and you're going to run it not only as depending on how small the projects are, you could be the project engineer and the project manager, and that's how it usually starts. And because they don't always communicate. They don't have to. They know. But when you go to purchasing, I mean, you could have someone selling shoes or being a teacher, and what they need is, they're going to write a requisition. They just have to have the skill that says, I want to buy this, and they have to know a supply chain. And you might have a very mature supply chain. It says, we have to buy tires. Okay, who are you going to buy them from? Well, here's the list of the suppliers that are in our business system. You get the specification from the engineering group because you're their customer, and then go buy it. Don't have to be an engineer to go buy it. Now, the more technical experience you have, or the more experience you have buying tires, you'll know, I got to look for the durometer because this guy's different than that guy. And most of the suppliers will differentiate themselves directly to you because they want you to buy their product because they have some specialty over the other guy, the other supplier.
Yeah.
And most of them are going to tell you what makes their stuff different and why it's important for you to buy their stuff. So to me, it's communicate. And so often, these technical people don't know when and how to communicate. And if you think about your personal life, how you communicate to your kids, how do you communicate to your wife, how do you communicate to your in-laws, how do you communicate to your neighbors? Those are different. And inside an organization, you have, I'll say, downward communication, horizontal communication, and upward communication, and then communication outside. Each one of those is different.
Yeah.
They got taught how to engineer. They might not have taken an English class. I used to drive myself crazy having to rewrite what the engineer wanted to say. I would be deep into it with these guys and say, hey, we got to get something out. We got to do this. I said, send me a draft. The typos were terrible. Now, thank God, Microsoft Word at least helps fix the typos.
Sure.
But the sentences. When I worked at ThyssenKrupp Uhde, Our president's secretary was a Rhodes Scholar. She was our admin. She would make sure all of our documents before they went out to clients were proofed by her. And she would laugh at it. I can't tell you how many times she showed up in my office, and I wasn't a bad writer. She goes, Roger, your sentence structure is terrible. This has to be here, this goes here. So it is about communication and sending the right message to the right target audience.
Copy that.
And that was to me the number one. It didn't matter whether you were a project manager, a project director. The other influence for the health of a project, was the salesperson, the technical salesperson, the concept that was being developed. Now, in the chemical industry with UDA, it was the application engineer. In the business I'm in now, it's the process engineer. Did they pick up every process step? And if they miss something, you typically don't find it until it's too late. I'll cite an example. When I was in the water business, we were doing let's see, when was it? 2000s. So I can't remember the administration. We had a Clean Air Act decree as part of the EPA. They said, okay, you got to get this much out of the smokestacks at the power plant. So there's two technologies to do it. Do it what they call wet scrubbing or dry scrubbing. When you wet scrub, you were sending it through this slurry, using water and dropping out the particulates. The particulates would come over to this side. That was one side of the Siemens business. The next side said, okay, we'll clean it all. We'll clean the slurry. We'll get all the nasties out of the slurry, and then you could landfill the dry cakes or partially dry cakes. Part of the process was you had to put this flow into tanks. We were in Baltimore. It got cold. Inside the tanks were microbes. Microbes were eating the nasties that were in the flow. But when it got cold, the microbes got slow. And they didn't eat as much. And what we didn't do, the process engineer didn't include insulation of the tanks. Didn't include the cover because it snowed. And all that snow, we had, I don't know, there was that one year we had like 2 feet of snow in Washington, D.C. All that snow made the water I'll call it water, but the flow cold. And next thing you know, the process shut down. And we couldn't take any more flow because the existing flow didn't meet the exit requirements in the chemical analysis, and all of a sudden the power plant has to go down, and we're 2 days after a snowstorm and it's freezing cold and everybody wants their heat.
Well, that's a problem. Yeah, that's a huge problem.
Oh yeah. And you can't just instantly heat up these massive tanks. So it was a very that's a phone call that the CEO gets.
Oh, God. Oh.
And by the way, that's when I learned Warren Buffett owned Constellation Energy.
Okay. Well, oops.
Yeah. So there's one of those ones, but that would be the two. But to me, communication is the key, and then the other side, but on the front end, the execution, the concept.
That's awesome. One more thing, one thing you talked about, and it really something I truly believe in. It's one of our, core values in the Air Force is integrity, and you spoke a lot about, integrity is everything. Do you mind touching on that a little bit?
No, not at all. I think we talked about the one book, Road to Character.
Yes.
because I'm not technical, there's another book that's out there. It's about power and influence. There's, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 types of influence. I think there's 5 types of influence that you can have, expert, referent, all this type of stuff, right?
Yep.
So one of the things I found for me, being a non-technical person, was how do I build the confidence internally and externally? And again, you go, when you're internal, down, horizontal, and up, then outside. And you have some of those same things on the outside because you have different aspects of a project. To me, one of the things that I was able to do was I had the trust, which can only be given to you. You can't give your trust away. You have to earn it, right?
Yes, sir.
And that comes through honest but direct conversation. When you're running projects, there's so many dynamics, and there are going to be times when you got to tell bad news, and how you tell bad news. And for me, I had to tell bad news to multiple different cultures. Project on now: Chinese, Romanian, Indian, German, American, Spanish, Ukrainian, Polish, Spanish. Yeah, I already said Spanish. I right off the top of my head, I can think of 8.
Wow.
Day-to-day business. And every one of those, you have to communicate slightly different. I am not that skilled to be efficient in all those ways.
Oh, wow.
But you have to be genuine and direct. And when you got to tell bad news, that's hard. I remember I had to lay somebody off. A guy senior to me who helped me earlier in my career.
Oh, man, that's tough.
It was brutal. And so I talked to my HR person, and we knew we were going to make the decision. And she had given me some advice, which was spectacular advice. Tell them what you're going to say. Say it. Tell them what you told them. And be very specific. Don't get all emotional. And I remember driving home that week and driving, the first day, I was like, what am I going to say? So I practiced. And, with technology on your phone, you can record yourself and all that stuff. And I practiced for a couple days exactly what I was going to say. And that helps so much, because that's one of those, when you're delivering that type of news, you are going to affect that person's life.
Yes.
His income is no longer going to be there. His insurance, that's massive. And he trained me. So,
right.
We were at the business. We had to downsize. And business decisions had to be made. And I think it was the right decision, but it was a hard decision. And you're going to have those all the time. And it's great to give the good news, but boy, it's tough to give bad news.
It sure is. That's a true statement.
And the other side, you got to remember, it's called project management. It's not product management. So by definition, projects have a defined start and finish and are unique endeavors. So people are going to come onto your job and they're going to go off your job. And sometimes you're working yourself out of a job all the time.
I never thought of it like that. Yeah.
It's tough because people get emotionally attached. And you got to be the person, okay, thank you for your services. I appreciate what you've done on your job. Good luck in your next endeavor. and they're gone. I mean, people come in and out of a project. As I said, you got the beginning, you got the middle, you got the end,
Yeah.
and they don't all work for you, not directly.
Right.
They work for you indirectly because you got the engineering department, procurement department, implementation department, the QA, the shipping, receiving, all these different departments, and they're lending you their assets, their resources.
Yeah.
And everybody knows you don't control my paycheck, my boss does. How do you motivate somebody? And that goes back to that integrity. You gotta create an atmosphere that they want to be on your team, even though it's a temporary endeavor. To me, that's what makes project management fun.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, I got the band back together. A guy approached me to do a project, and one of the guys, our procurement guy, he had told me my superpower was being able to build a team.
Yeah, I got that written down, actually. You said that last week.
Yeah, so that's not everybody does that. If you think about when you were a kid, I don't know, if you played kickball or you had pickup baseball games, not everybody was captain.
Yeah.
Only a few people were captain.
Yeah.
And if you were a captain, if you were the captain, you know what it felt like. Hey, I want him, I want that person, I want this person. And if you weren't the captain, you said, oh, I want to play on their team.
Yeah. Always hated getting picked last. Always hated getting picked last.
But that's the reality of life. Even that's project management. Sometimes you're the captain and sometimes you're not.
Oh, something you said. Something you said last week, I'm going to use in my next staff meeting on Friday before we roll into drill. I'm going to use this concept. You said the ESPN rundown.
Yeah.
Kind of like the good, the bad, the ugly.
That's about the integrity where you got to sit there. And I'm dealing with the guy that's building the asset. He's a senior vice president. Because at that point, they didn't have a chief operating officer. They had the CEO, and then they had senior vice presidents. He was responsible for their asset building. He was starting a business. He was given $2.1 billion. Go build a plant, start a company in the middle of nowhere, Texas. Check in with us. So this is a high-powered guy. Doesn't have a lot of time. You got to tell them what's going on around the world for your supply chain.
Yeah.
Because at that point, we were in COVID. We have T-shirts. The shit that happened to us. We had 11 inches of rain on the job site in 4 hours.
Wow.
We had 2 typhoons hit Korea. We had 2 hurricanes hit the U.S. and affect us. We had shipping lanes get changed. I mean, we had freaking COVID. We had people isolated.
Yeah.
Think about this. I got to bring 175 people to the job site on visas. COVID. Embassy shut down. How do you get them in?
Oh man.
How do you get a visa?
I can't
imagine. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have thought when you did your stakeholder management analysis that the embassy in Frankfurt would be one of your stakeholders?
Wow.
You can't even think that crazy.
So you can't even make that up.
No. So this guy says, we got to get T-shirts made. And that was our program. Every Friday, 20 minutes, you got to run through. There was 2 people from our company, 1 from his, and you put all your sins on the table because you knew that was going to be your whack-a-mole game. It says, this is my problem, this is what I'm doing about it. Can you help or influence anything? In fact, we used the customer. We got a letter written by the customer because they had pool, and we were essential business. Steel was determined to be an essential business. We had to get this letter and get it into our representatives' hands to be able to work with the embassies to get the visas.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, otherwise you didn't get an appointment because they weren't in the office.
That's crazy.
Absolutely. I would highly recommend that ESPN approach, particularly when you're doing stuff, that you almost have it every day for a safety talk.
Yeah.
Safety, this is what we're going to do today. You're your brother's keeper, and you're going to do here, and he's going to be over here, and she's going to be doing this. But from a project point of view, and as the project manager, what's your deliverables this week? What are the ones next week? What didn't we get done? What's outstanding from last week?
Mm-hmm.
That's about communicating, right? Everybody hears who's doing what. Now, rarely do you sit and talk to your whole team at the same time. But those communications are very challenging.
They are.
I know you have, but when you have a very limited period of time, by the way, if you do that with a group,
yeah,
in person,
mm-hmm.
do it standing up.
Okay.
And I would recommend this. This is one of the things I got. If you do it every week, don't ever stand in the same place for you. Middle, front, sides, always change location. You'll notice some people come in and will always stand or sit in the same chair.
Yes, this is a true, yes. Happens in our production meetings all the time. It's, what do they call that? Territorial.
Mm-hmm. and the problem with that is they're not open. That restricts their open-mindedness. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. That's good advice. Yeah, I'm going to try that on Friday, this coming up Friday.
Good.
Well, Roger, I don't want to take up any more of your time. You've been very gracious to meet with me 2 times, and I certainly do appreciate it.
Anytime, James.
Hope to see you at a family dinner here soon.
Yeah, that's going to be a while. I'm heading to Seattle.
Are you?
I'm going to do I'm doing dog sitting for our daughter out there, and then at the end of the month, I'm going from Seattle to Florida to do celebrate a memorial for a cousin of mine who passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was sad. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Will you take care? And again, anytime.
Okay.
I'm usually connectable by mobiles and virtual all the time. So
okay, no, much appreciated. I'll be in touch because I want to let you know how this thing's going for me.
I would appreciate it.
Okay. You take care. Yes, sir. Bye-bye.